Welcome to the Waking Up with Don show. I'm Kristen Gramazio, and I'm standing in for Don today. As we know, he is away visiting with his mother, and we wish them their best and send our prayers. So today we have Dr. Nation, and he's from Nation's Best Family Practice. Welcome again onto the show.
Good morning.
And so one thing I was talking about that I would like to talk about that I'm finding a lot of people are finding is they're sick. Sick.
Yep.
And trying to figure out what's going on. My friends, they've got the scratchy throat.
Right.
They're, feeling like they can't talk. They've got congested head. What is the explanation for all this?
There's actually this year there's been a kind of a strange rash of viruses that go around that last people more so than what we've seen in years past.
Mm-hmm.
There's been discussion about the CDC's vaccine this year, the flu vaccine not being as effective. Some of that's controversial because other studies show even getting the vaccine, if it's not effective, it's still helpful in protecting you against other viruses.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff that you're describing is actually more consistent with allergy season.
Okay.
So allergy season started about 3-4 weeks ago now, and lots of folks start waking up and they get the scratchy throat in the morning, or that phlegmy thing that they get first thing in the morning or towards the afternoon. And they think that they're getting sick, like it's, I've been around other sick people, when it's actually more of an allergy problem. So if they find themselves rubbing their nose or they're, scratching their eyes, those kinds of things, those are all allergy symptoms to start with. And if you get ahead of that and you treat that part first, there's a much better chance that you won't get sicker, and then that turns into kind of either a laryngitis or a sinus infection, and that's usually when people starting to come to see us.
Now, what is one thing that people can do to take this precaution of helping their allergies and catching it right off the bat?
Some of it is paying attention to what your body's telling you. A lot of the similarities between allergies and a viral illness is the congestion and the runny nose and those kinds of things, and the coughing is obviously part of that. The differences between the two is that if it's a viral type infection or a bacterial infection like bronchitis or a sinus infection, is you'll get fevers. Okay. So fevers and chills is one of them. Body aches is another one that sets allergies apart from an illness, a bacterial type infection type thing. So if you're just having the drainage and the runny nose and those kinds of things to start with, treat it like it's an allergy, and then if it turns into body aches and pains and you're feeling really run down and you're running a fever, that's when it's more of an infection.
Okay.
So you start with that.
Now, would they use, say, my fiance, he was feeling like he was getting sick, so I got him Dayquil. Is that really going to help? Probably not. So I wasn't prescribing them correctly. I'm not a doctor.
Well, and like I said, a lot of folks, we see a ton of patients that think that they don't have allergies.
Yeah.
And when we see it, it's real easy to tell in the back because there's these little bitty pustules that you get in the back of your throat that you only see with allergies, and you don't see that with viral stuff. But I always tell folks to start with Tylenol, Motrin if they're having aches and pains. But most of the time, if it's drainage, Dayquil and those kinds of things, they're designed to be multi-symptom when really the major symptom you need control of is an antihistamine.
Okay.
So Benadryl is one of those that tends to make people sleepy. You can take that one at night. I always tell folks to start with either Allegra, Zyrtec, or Claritin, all three of which are over the counter. They're really inexpensive. You can get them at like Dollar Store, Dollar General, Walmart, those kinds of things. And you take that for a few days, and you can actually double the dose from what's on the package, and you're still relatively safe unless you've got kidney failure issues and those kinds of things, at which point you should already be seeing your doctor anyway.
Yeah, I ended up going to the Zyrtec after a fashion. I said, that wasn't working, so we got to find another way.
Do it in the other direction. Start with the antihistamines first, and then you move into the Dayquil, NyQuil, that kind of stuff.
Okay, great. Well, I want to continue this conversation, and we'll do that when we get back from our local weather. Welcome back, and again, we are here with Dr. Nation, and we're talking about allergies and how to prevent yourself from letting that turn into, something furthermore. Yeah. Exactly. Now, we were talking about some remedies that you can take on helping prevent this. What are some other recommendations that you can recommend to us to prevent this from happening?
So a lot of folks have, there's a lot of things over the counter you can get. One of them is nasal sprays that helps kind of wet the inside of your nose to help break things up. Mucinex, if it starts to develop into a phlegm that gets down into your chest, Mucinex DM is a good product that helps bring the mucus up. It doesn't, it doesn't fix things per se because you're still exposing yourself. It's kind of like with cigarette smoke. When you smoke cigarette smoke, you can clear your lungs out, and then as soon as you expose yourself to it again, then the whole process starts all over again. There's another product called neti pots where it's actually, and sinus rinses where you actually make this saline solution and you squirt it in your nose, and similar to like rinsing out your sink when it's got junk inside it. And what it does is it helps clear the passages in your nose so you can breathe a little easier.
Okay.
We have a lot of folks also that come in complaining of ear pain, where if you try to hold your nose and blow and pop your ears, and you can't do that, that's because the tube on the inside of your ears that connects to the back of your throat is clogged.
Okay.
So there's some over-the-counter stuff that you can take with that. Afrin you can use for a very short term, for about a couple, 3 days. And if that clears things up and you start feeling better, then that again is an indicator that you have an allergy problem that's getting it out of control. There's some other prescription medicines that we use that you can use long term. Afrin you can only use for about 3 days.
Okay.
But neti pots, the nasal rinses, those are all easy products to get over the counter. If it goes beyond that and you're still having symptoms, we usually prescribe something to them.
Okay. Now, so allergies, are out and about. How do we prevent ourselves from getting sick? Are there some precautions? Because a lot of people, they're like, okay, well, allergies, it's just that season. I can't prevent that so much. What is one thing that you suggest to?
we talk about that a lot, and we were talking about that in the break, is that if you have younger kids in the house, because kids are very notorious for not washing their hands
Touching
at all.
everything.
They touch everything. They play with their mouth, and then so they spread germs amongst each other. So a lot of places in daycare, despite their best efforts to get the kids to wash their hands, they'll still pass germs around, and then they'll bring that home, and then they'll pass it to the parents. And most of the time, it's actually people will wash their hands after they go to the bathroom, but they won't wash their hands either before or after they eat, and that's where it comes from.
Yes.
So it makes its way through the first generation family, and then it goes up, and the grandparents come over to visit, and then it goes up from there. And those are the folks that it usually affects.
And then it goes into the schools and everything else from the kids, and just. It's a deadly circle, so the big key is just washing your hands. That's the first easy step.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
Wow. Now, also, any other things, that people can do as precautionary measures before having to call you to go and see you? What are some things that they should do in regards to their health? There's
a little bit of data behind using things like Zicam, which is mainly just zinc. There's also a little bit of data behind using antioxidants. So if your system is deficient, and as we get older, again, it kind of depends on the patient. Younger patients tend to not have vitamin deficiencies. Older patients tend to have them, despite having decent diets. Their body just doesn't absorb the nutrients like it needs to. So some decent multivitamins that their body can absorb, antioxidants like vitamin C and grapeseed extract, those kinds of things. We have a product that we use from a company called Rejuvenation Science. It's got all of that kind of put in the same one. So it adds with the B complex stuff for antioxidants, and it helps keep them healthier.
So vitamins, multivitamins is just one small step to take to continue forward on your staying healthy journey.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, awesome. Thank you for joining us again today, Dr. Nation, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dr. Aaron Shores from Spine and Neural Pain Specialists here in Panama City and up in Chipley. Doc, welcome back.
Thanks, sir.
Long time no see.
Long time no see.
Yeah. Spring break. We talk a lot about it, and we talk about binge drinking and things. But you're a pain specialist, so I would imagine that a lot of the tools of your trade are being abused during spring break. That's what I would think. I don't know. I hear anecdotally sometimes, like if you're a bodybuilder and you want to get some growth hormones and things like that, you make friends with someone who has dwarfism, because you can get that. Now maybe somebody who has chronic pain could be approached by someone looking to get drugs from them. I mean, what are some of the more common drugs that you use that people abuse?
Well, unfortunately in today's world, people who have an addictive potential are looking to abuse something can find ways to abuse many different types of drugs.
Yeah, almost anything. Yeah, when you think about it.
So we always, as a healthcare community, whether you do pain management or not, everybody always has in the back of the mind the concern of diversion or abuse, because prescription drug abuse is quite high in this country.
And there are very strict regulations, though, on some of those more addictive drugs. I know someone had explained to me that whole schedule of drugs.
Yeah.
And some of the safeguards that are built in.
There certainly are very strict regulations. Over the last several years, the state of Florida has done a very good job in escalating some of those regulations, both on pain clinics as well as making recommendations for distribution or prescribing of these drugs. But the old saying, where there's a will, there's a way. Folks that have a desire to abuse a drug, certainly won't let those regulations stop them. So it's something that we still have to be vigilant of and careful of when we are prescribing these drugs. And there are certain things that we look for, but sometimes folks are good at being deceptive. So it's everybody gets fooled every once in a while.
Yeah, and it's a shame too. Now I know oxycodone was a heavily abused drug, and I know before the break here, before we got to talking, I guess it's not as abused as it used to be because of the safeguards put in place.
Well, certainly there's still a high abuse potential for lots of different drugs. OxyContin went through a reformulation a few years ago on trying to make it more difficult to abuse. But again, folks that abuse these drugs.
Meaning you won't get as high off it, or
change the way the pill is made, so it's a little bit more difficult to obtain a high if you change the pill in some way. Not that there's still not a high abuse potential for the drug; it still can be abused in a few different ways.
Right.
But I am told that there are certainly other drugs that are becoming a little bit more popular. Some older drugs that we used to see not only on a national level but even here locally. So drug abuse and drug diversion is something that we all spend a lot of time in the healthcare community worrying about and trying to prevent.
Yeah, and I guess not all pain clinics are created equally when it comes to that type of stuff, because you hear the stories of pill mills and things like that, and I know the legislature has worked really hard to try and shut those down or slow them down somehow.
Yeah, no, that's true, and there are certain criteria that a pain clinic needs to meet based on the training and the background of the physicians that are running the practice that the state of Florida has set up in order to decrease the amount of pill mills that are present. And I think that's had a pretty profound impact. Unfortunately, it hasn't stopped all of them. But I think the state of Florida has done a good job in trying to mandate those regulations to decrease diversion and abuse. But even in legitimate practices, some patients will still try to, abuse
scam the doc and
right.
whatever.
Yes, that's true.
And on the flip side of it, there's some people just don't like to take drugs at all, and
That's true. There are certainly lots of those folks out there as well. So it's just like alcohol. There's safe or relatively safe ways to responsibly use it, and there are irresponsible ways to use it. And as long as you respect the medications and use them as prescribed, and to discuss any concerns you may have with your physician, I think they can also have quite a good benefit in some patients.
And listen to your doctor above all. Dr. Arias,
right.
for spine and neuropain specialist, thanks again for coming on the show and getting us smart on these crazy drugs that some of these people are abusing out there.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Christina Williams from Superior Residences here on Panama City Beach. And Superior Residences, if people who don't know, is a assisted living facility, brand new.
Brand new.
On Panama City Beach.
Correct. Brand new resort-style senior living community that offers assisted living and memory care. We're brand new. We will start moving residents in around April the 1st.
Now, people have already purchased or signed up
reserved.
for, or reserved, that's the proper word, to live in some of those apartments that you have there.
Yes, sir.
So there's still some available. There
is, yes, sir. We are booking up quickly. People are very excited about our community. We have over 50% already pre-reserved, but we are still have plenty of room, and are excited to welcome anyone who might be interested in our community.
Now, what if you're an elderly person who may be watching this right now, and you're like, well, do I really need an assisted living? I mean, how do you make up your mind?
Well, there's a lot of things to consider. We talk about the pros and cons of moving in with us or staying at home, and if anyone's interested, they can go to our website, superioralf.com. And one thing that's really important is the cost. Everybody always asks, how much is this going to cost me?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Absolutely, money's important. And you work hard for your money, and you don't want it to be wasted. But we have a cost comparison calculator where someone can go in and put in their monthly expenses, phone, cable, internet, homeowners insurance, yard man fees, pool fees, any fees that they have associated with their home that they pay on a monthly basis, versus the rent for us. and see where they would end up and what might be more cost effective.
And the older you get, the more expensive things kind of become, because I have elderly parents, and my dad used to be able to do everything around the house. Well, now he's getting up there in age and he can't.
Right.
He can't shovel snow because they live in New York. I mean, he can't do a lot of those things he used to kind of take for granted.
Absolutely. And with us, it's one of the things we say, it's all the comforts of home without any of the hassle. We do your laundry, we clean your room, we keep up the yard. There's no yard to keep up. It's just, we change the light bulbs, we change the air filters, any of the maintenance things that the residents need, we take care of.
And then they give you whatever medical care you need as well. If
Yes,
you
sir.
need some sort of visiting nurse or whatever, you've got a whole medical staff right there to take care of you.
Absolutely. And what's so great about us, with our licensing level, we can give someone as little support or as much support as they need. They can move in with us very having great health, just might need some assistance occasionally, and then if they decline or a disease process takes place, they can stay with us and age in place, because we have an extended license level that lets them
just
stay
because
with
you
us.
get sick doesn't mean you have to move.
Correct.
I mean, you can
and you stay
there.
in your own apartment. I've had several people come in that think they move to a different part of the building as they get sicker, and that's not the case. You move into your apartment, and that is your apartment until you don't want it anymore.
On the tour that I took there, what impressed me the most is that it's not just an old man or an old lady, and I say that with great respect. Couples are moving in there as well, where one's maybe in relatively good health and one needs more care, but one can't take care of the other anymore because of the age.
Absolutely. We have quite a few couples moving in, and like you said, it's typically one spouse needs a little bit more assistance than the other, and they just don't want to be by themselves anymore. And they can do that because our community is such a resort style, and it feels like home, that the spouse who is still in pretty good health doesn't feel like they're moving into an assisted living or institution.
Besides just going to your website and doing that whole checklist, I think there are some intangibles, like having friends, having a community of people, rather than just being in your home. And we're so out of time, it's not funny, but it's always good to talk with you about this, because as we get older, we're going to be looking out for our parents and grandparents here.
Absolutely.
Christina Williams, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back. And today we have Randy from 5L Fitness. Thank you again for joining us.
Not a problem. Good to be here.
And I want to talk about something that I've noticed that I don't do enough, is get up and take a break from work and move around. What are the benefits of that?
Well, there are so many physical benefits that we could talk about, but the mental benefits are probably tenfold compared to just the physical benefits. And the thing is, if you sit at an office all day, and we all do it, we're typing and we're going and we're answering the phone and talking and eating and doing everything from our desk, then you're restricting your blood flow.
Okay.
So when you get up and move around, do some exercises if you want, or just walk around, go outside, get some fresh air, then you kind of reset your mental capacity. So you could probably end up being 2 to 3 times more productive.
Productivity is huge.
You're thinking clearer once you get back, once you've taken that break, and then once your body's had the opportunity to reset all of the things that you need to be productive mentally.
And I notice myself is when I'm working, I'll be scared to take that break because I'm so mentally focused at that point where I'm like, just keep going, and then I'm like, oh, in 20 minutes. Well, that 20 minutes turned to an hour, into 2 hours, into 3 hours, and 4 or 5 hours, I haven't gotten up from my seat. And that has probably set me back 3 hours because I could have gotten more done by just getting up.
You could have been more productive. And a good way to prevent that from happening is set small goals for yourself. So if you're a video editor, correct? So you get to a certain time or point in whatever production you're working on, take a break, walk away, come back, and then set another small goal. And setting those small goals like that will keep you from just focusing on one thing or keep you from becoming stagnant.
Now, how often do you say, what is a good time frame to break those segments into to make sure you get up and move?
I say about an hour.
An hour?
Yeah.
Every hour?
About 10 minutes away for every hour, and that'll give you a chance to reset, go to the restroom, get some water, and like I said, just get some fresh air if you have the opportunity to do that, and come back and be twice as productive as you were.
And that's a great thing. You said, get up and get some water.
Right.
You figure a normal work day is 8 hours, which we always end up working over, but get 1 glass of water. Every time you get up, you get your 8 full glasses, your body's hydrated, your requirements, you're focused, and you're keeping your body healthy and moving, and that is huge. Yep. And don't forget to eat. That's another thing that we forget to do.
Yeah, and a lot of times you'll see people right at the desk eating and doing all of that, and you gotta set some time aside for that too.
And that's very important. Now, is there anything, type of workouts, just a quick tip of what we can do sitting at our desk to possibly, you know, tone our abs or our arms or something, you know? Is there any like...
Well, one thing that a lot of people really need to do is work on their posture. You know, a lot of times you start here and then you end up slumping
Slouched
and
over.
And that. And then if you just sit up, then you're going to work the big muscles in the lower back, the erector spinae, and your core at the same time while you're just sitting at your desk with good posture.
So that's it. Just focus on your posture. Always make sure you get your shoulders back.
Shoulders up, chest up nice and tall, and type away.
Awesome. Now, how can someone get a hold of you if they want to, you know, find out more, and where can they get
Well,
some
they can
training?
visit us at www.5lfitness.com, and we train at Impact Fitness here in Panama City, as well as exclusively on Tyndall Air Force Base.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Randy, for coming and joining us today. And thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.